Have you ever filmed something that didn't turn out the way you envisioned? Maybe it was so bad you were embarrassed to show it.
Action!
Or worse, you couldn't even finish it. Well, my first feature film was just that, a hot mess. An epic fail full of plot holes, bad acting, terrible makeup, and a number of setbacks.
We just had to barricade the door here in the middle of our shoot because the gangs were shooting at each other outside. So.
We're doing pickup scenes a year later with our lead actress who had lost 20 pounds and gotten braces. They say you can't shine a turd, but you can definitely analyze it, learn from it, and sometimes even nurture it back into existence 18 years after its conception. More on that later. So if you're a first-time filmmaker or an aspiring director, dreaming of shooting your first movie, listen up. Here are 7 deadly sins to avoid if you want your indie film to be at least watchable. By the way, I'm Alejandro, a filmmaker with over 20 years of experience, including Emmy wins, commercial directing, and yes, this disaster of a first feature film. So let's get into it. We got ourselves a situation here, trying to do some filming. On my second YouTube video, Rosarito, we got ourselves a little puppy. She ain't happy. Sin number 1, sloth. The sin of skipping rewrites. You see, I was too lazy to do rewrites, and I thought my first draft would cut it. Well, it didn't. A little backstory. I used to shoot weddings. One day on the way to a gig, I pitched a short film idea to 2 other burnout wedding videographers. I wrote the first draft in a couple of weeks, and months later, we flew to Panama to shoot a low-budget movie for $1,300, El Mariachi style. Anyways, the script was full of plot holes, confusing character arcs, and scenes that just didn't make sense. Looking back, I should have done at least 2 to 3 rewrites, gotten feedback, and studied the fundamentals of storytelling. I skipped all of that. As a filmmaker, this was a costly mistake. Your script is the blueprint to your entire project. If it's not working on the page, it won't magically come together on set.
Okay, cool, awesome. Thank you so much. That's a weird cold request.
Hey, we got the producers here, huh? Nick.
Look at my Tommy shoes, dude.
He's got Tommy shoes.
I got Tommy shoes for $3 today at Thrift Town.
Yeah, baby.
You can tell by the sound they make when you walk.
Yep.
Exactly. You guys are shooting a wedding right after this, right?
Probably.
Okay, cool. 'Cause we gotta keep on schedule.
We were desperate to escape weddings, so we just rushed into filmmaking, thinking it would be our big break. Naive? Very. And that led us to sin number 2, babble, the language of confusion.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The movie was based on a true story involving my mother in Latin America, so filming in Spanish made sense. But when we added scenes a year later in the US, with a mostly non-Spanish speaking cast and crew, disaster. With no money or time for rehearsal, we ended up cutting dialogue and relying on mute performances. The result? Mismatched performances, broken continuity, and awkward delivery. Definitely pull the audience out of the story. Here's a filmmaking tip. For your first film, shoot in a language your team understands. Don't create unnecessary barriers. Communication matters. Good performances depend on it. All right, sin number 3, gluttony, the sin of overstuffing the story. This $1,300 film had too many characters, locations, timelines, dream sequences, supernatural elements, flashbacks, narrators, voiceovers. You name it, I shoved it in there. I thought complexity meant quality. Well, it doesn't. The more elements you cram in, the more difficult it becomes to manage story clarity, pacing, and emotional payoff, especially with a limited budget. Now I always ask, does this scene move the story forward? If not, cut it. All right, let's move on to sin number 4, pride. The sin of not prepping enough. Prep is 70% of the battle, and I didn't know that. As a matter of fact, I didn't even rehearse with the actors. No technical run-throughs, we just winged it. Some moments turn out magical, while others cringe. Preparation isn't just about avoiding chaos, it's about building trust with your cast and crew. A well-prepared director creates a calm, confident atmosphere that allows creativity to flourish. So when you're asking people to give their time and energy to your film, you owe it to them to be ready, especially on your first feature film. To everyone who helped me make this film, thank you. I will make it up to you one day, I hope. All right, moving on to sin number 5, envy, the sin of chasing the wrong genre. The story began as something personal, spiritual drama, but horror was trending, and I thought, what if I make it darker? Will it get more attention? I lost sight of the emotional heart of the film because I was too busy trying to impress or imitate others. And that's not filmmaking, that's mimicry. So don't chase genres just to be cool, you know? Just tell your story. Even if it's not flashy, it will be real. Back to sin number 6, wrath, the sin of expanding without a plan. So we started with a short film, but after editing 40 minutes of content, we thought, why not turn it into a feature? So we brought the lead actress to the US a year later. She had braces and had lost about 10 to 15 pounds. And again, we were still winging it, right? No story map, no structure, just patchwork filmmaking. Little lesson here, you can't turn a mediocre short into a great feature by adding scenes. You need a rock solid foundation before building higher. So plan your expansion. All right, let's move on to sin number 7, greed. Greed for perfection. After all that work, I never finished the film. I told myself it wasn't ready, but the truth, I was afraid. Afraid of judgment, afraid of failure. So we had no deadlines, no post-production plan, no closure. I obsessed over every cut, then avoided the project altogether. Years passed and shame set in. But here's the thing, first films aren't supposed to be perfect. They're supposed to be finished. They're stepping stones. Perfectionism is often fear in disguise. The sooner you finish and release your work, the sooner you'll learn and grow from it. Today, we're finally cutting the film together, 18 years later, along with a documentary that's halfway's tutorial, halfway's therapy session, and fully unhinged. If you want to follow the madness and see how we're finishing the movie and the doc, check the pinned comment below. All right, here's my closing thoughts. If you're making your first feature film, keep it simple. One country, one language, one story. Prep like crazy. Be honest with your genre. And above all, finish it. Everyone involved and your future self will thank you for it. Do you have a disaster story of your own? Drop that turd in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And if you found this helpful, share it with someone who could use a little bit of help.
Sonrisa. Yay! Yay!